Welcome to Mark's Ghosty Corner, and welcome to another church walkabout. This time in Devon, so in a place called Northam, Bideford, and look at that building. Isn't that cool? Look at that. That's awesome. So yeah, I'm in Northam, which is a small village, quite busy though, so I'm going to have to quickly leg it across the road. Here we go. Right, and I've actually brought you to St Margaret's Church, 15th century, again in a small village in Northam. Look at that. We're actually on the back of it. I'm going to try and walk around to the front, see if I can show it you. We're just doing a little bit of reading on it. So yeah, it's 15th century, but there was a Norman church here beforehand, and apparently the base of the tower goes further back. As it is with most churches, there was a lot of restoration work done in the mid 1800s. So but the tower is massive here. It's like really tall. Well, we'll go around the front. I'm actually entering the place around the back, and I can see already it's got like a really big church graveyard. Looks pretty big from what I can see at the moment. Never been here before, obviously, but I can see, if you have a look, it's quite extensive. Goes all the way around there and all the way around here, and then to that absolutely awesome tower, which is massive. Oh my god, that's so tall, it's huge. But yeah, apparently the base of the tower goes further back. As I said, I don't think it goes back as far as the Norman church, but it will have foundations which are going to go further back than the 15th century. Oh, that's a pretty cool gate as well, isn't it? Look at that. But it's all locked up, I'm not getting in. Oh, that's pretty cool though. Yeah, let's see the beauty of having a camera. You can see the carvings in the door, which is pretty gorgeous. I like that. So I haven't done a church walkabout in quite some time. It's been a while. The church in Leicester was the last one, and unfortunately, like I said, because I'm here on holiday at the moment in Devon, in Westwood Ho, and I was supposed to be doing an investigation. I can see a really old grave there. Look. Oh, I'm gonna have to go and have a nosy on that. Can I get up there? Let's have a look. Yeah, I was supposed to be doing an investigation at Seafield House. Unfortunately, due to a family tragedy, loss of a family member, Rob's not going to let me into the place, understandably, obviously, 100% understandably, but he's not going to be able to let me in to do my investigation, which I feel guilty about, feeling disappointed, because, you know, at the end of the day, as I've said, he's lost a family member, but at the same time, I was so looking forward to actually doing this. I'm absolutely gutted that I'm not going to be able to do the investigation there. You know, I mean, literally, I've been waiting 2 years to get into this place to do a proper investigation. Well, you know, it is what it is. So I'm licking my wounds, and I thought I'm going to come out and actually go and do a couple of churches. So, oh, it's not as old as I thought. Look, 1847. I thought it looked like it. You know, when the church walkabouts I've done before with these kind of ornate carvings, they normally go back to the 1700s, but this one's the 1800s. So you can see that's, I do believe, the front of the church there. So we'll work our way back round again. Oh look, there's a newish kind of burial there, or newish. You can see that, and there's lots of headstones on the floor. So I'm trying to avoid obviously walking on any and any graves. But yeah, there's loads of them, and they're all really packed in. Look at this. It's absolutely loads. All of them tightly packed into this. So it's like the actual grounds are not very big, but there's a hell of a lot of graves here. And so they're all packed in. Look at that, loads of them. But yeah, it's a pretty big church. Let's see if I can back up a little bit. Let's see if I can get it all in shot. Well, it's a little bit difficult getting this one all in shot because that tower is so tall. It's crazy, look at that. That's nuts. Well, let's try a different angle. Well, actually, as I'm working my way around, I can see they've actually got graves going all the way back there as well. I do believe there's a cemetery next to this, which would make sense. So I can see it goes a lot further back. There's absolutely loads here. I mean, Northam is a small village as far as I know. Maybe it's even a town. I'll have to have a look that one up. But there's a hell of a lot of graves here, considering. Oh, that's better. Right. I've had to come quite a ways back just to get it all in shot. Look at that. Isn't that cool? It's awesome. It's a really big church, this one. Now that is impressive. Right, so I'm going to work my way back round to the front of this. And then we can actually see what it's like. We're at the base of the tower. Actually, while I'm working my way back, I just want to clarify something. And a lot of the church walkabouts I do, I keep going on about the gargoyles, you know, the faces at the where the windows are and the carvings and the stone. They're not gargoyles. This was pointed out to me recently, and I keep forgetting because you know what I'm like. So I actually looked it up, and yeah, so the gargoyles are actually the ones that are at the top, basically for the drainage. So, you know, to obviously, you know, we get the water pouring out the drains, and normally they'll come out of the gargoyles' mouths to release the water. If I see any here, I'll point them out, but it's actually grotesques. So where you see the faces, look at that, that's pretty cool. That's unusual, isn't it? Look at that, it's like all kind of stone, and you can see the carvings actually in the headstone. Look at that, unusual. I love the colour though, the colour's gorgeous. But yeah, they're grotesques, not gargoyles. I'm always getting stuff wrong, you know. It's not unusual for me, let's be honest. So the amount of times I actually get stuff completely mixed up. So hopefully from now on I won't mention the word gargoyles, I'll mention the word grotesques every time I see these stone carved faces. I keep showing the tower because I'm actually really impressed with how tall this thing is. It's nuts. So yeah, here we are at the base of the tower, and I'm assuming the main way into the church, which is a bit more unusual because the church is back home. Normally the way in is actually through the side, is where the main entrance is, but this seems to be that the door. I don't know, I mean, I'm going to work my way around to see, you know where that gate was around here that was locked, that was shut and locked. That's probably the way in, and this probably used to be the way in, but isn't anymore. That's a gorgeous door though, look at that. And actually, talking about the grotesques, they haven't actually got any of the faces I've seen at the minute. They've got this kind of carving here on the side, and you can see actually like flower carvings that are going all the way around, but here it's all completely worn away due to the age of the church. As I said, you know, you're talking 15th century, so it's an old church. But yeah, this door is cool. Love. And the wrought iron work, I love all this. This is cool, gorgeous. And as always, there's a keyhole. You know me, I love to have a nosy in a keyhole. One day I'll see somebody looking back. It's kind of spooky face, maybe an eye looking back at me one day. Not today, it's a bit too dirty in there. It's got all this stuff, spider webs and God knows what else in there, but yeah, not today. But it's gorgeous though, isn't it? That's an absolutely gorgeous door. Love that. And I can see here they've got kind of wire meshing all the way around the windows on the front to obviously protect the stained glass. I can see it is actually stained glass in there. And this just shows you how tall this tower is. Look at that. I would not want to fall off the top of there, that's for sure. Now obviously this is not a beautiful shot. There's always bins. I know they need bins. I know they need it. You know, obviously they're doing lots of grass cutting and all that kind of stuff. So obviously they're going to need these bins for that, of course. But it's not attractive. You know, when you're trying to show a beautiful church, when you see these bins, it's not attractive. But the reason I'm actually doing this, because I want to pan round and just show you this bit where it's actually got, I'm assuming it's an extension to the original church, because it's actually got, I think that's 1907 on it. So yeah, and it does look newer. So I can see that's been built on the side, and they've got this this door here with a little doorbell. You want to press it? Look at that. You want to press it? I'm not going to press it, but you want to press it. But yeah, so I've got a newer door there. Got wire meshing on it again. But yeah, so this is obviously an extension, kind of a newer build. Like I said, especially in the 1800s, there were always kind of like, there seems to be this massive thing across the country. It doesn't matter where you are. It seems to be that in the 1800s there was this like kind of like massive renovation project going on with the churches. So I'm assuming they were all pretty much in really a real bad state and of disrepair, and then in the 1800s it was just decided that they were going to start repairing them and fixing them, because it doesn't matter where I go and I read stuff about it, the history of the church, they all say the same thing. Renovation work or, you know, extensive building was done in the 1800s. So yeah, it seems to be quite a common theme no matter where you go. So yeah, this is the village of Northam. So lots of little houses, some of them like those chocolate box ones. You know, we're right by the coast. Just in the distance there is the ocean, is the sea. I've got kind of like some kind of marshlands around here, which is quite interesting. And that's the way I'm going to be coming in a minute, because I'm going to have to go and move the car. I'm only allowed half an hour. So what I'm going to do now, which is not very interesting for you to watch, I'm going to show you my feet. I'm going to walk back to the car, I'm going to move it, park up, and then come back through that way. Hopefully, if I can find a parking space. They're all double yellows around here. So yeah, parking is a nightmare around here. They're all bloody double yellow lines all the way up, and people parked at weird angles and all kinds of stuff. So as you can see, I'm quite away from the church, so I'm gonna have to work my way up here to get back where I was. So yeah, what a nightmare. So there you go. I knew this was going to happen. I looked on Google Maps and I could actually see that there was only limited parking and it's only half an hour. So I knew I was going to have to move and go somewhere else. So I'm going to walk my way back over to the church and we'll carry on doing this church walkabout. Well, I'm getting my steps in today. These church walkabouts, they keep me fit, because you can never park near the places and you've always got to kind of walk about a quarter of a mile to actually get to the church. Luckily, the tower on this one is so tall you can't really miss it. Some of the church walkabouts I've done in the past, I've been walking around and around and around, I can't actually find the place. Yeah, they got some nice kind of old houses around here. I said quite a nice little village, I think, really, by the look of it. Apart from that, we'll ignore that. Look, there you go. I'll hide it with my hand. And as I said, over there you can see the ocean. I was going to say you could see the sea, but that's quite predictable, really. And there's a mast there, which is a bit weird. Not sure what that is, but anyway, I'm here for the church. I'm not here for that. More walking. We will get there. I'm getting out of breath now. Oh, here we go. Yeah, look, double yellows everywhere. Really hard to park around here. You can see why though, because it's like the roads are really small. There's not really a lot of room, but anyway, we're here. Just for dramatic effect, I'm going to put my hand on it. There we go. And we're back. Oh, a little bit out of breath now. Right. So yeah, the thing I've noticed about this church, just the initial walk around, it's not very decorative, to be honest. I haven't seen, I was talking about the grotesques. I haven't actually seen much in the way of kind of like carvings where the windows are and that, so it doesn't seem overly like it's a particularly decorative church. And I guess this stonework that you can see, let's go a bit closer, let's have a look. You can see, like, you got this kind of path that works its way around, and this wall, same kind of stone. I'm guessing it's probably native to Devon. It's almost like slates. That's what it kind of looks like. It's almost like slate. And even, like I said, you know, I was talking about the gargoyles. There isn't any. So you've got your gutter in, but I can't actually see any gargoyles. And all the windows have got wire meshing around them. But I can see, it's not stained glass window in a sense of kind of figures and stuff, but it is coloured glass. I can just see past the meshing. But yeah, if you have a look at the windows, there's no stone faces on this church that I've seen so far anyway. Even on this one, the one next to it. Yeah, well, the windows are all right. Not that one. There's nothing on it. Look, that's boring. That's a boring window. That's a mega boring window. That is. Hey, what's this? What's this? This go down to the crypt. Why? Why is there chains and everything? I bet it does. Yeah, look. I'll go down to the crypt. Cool. So yeah, St Margaret's Church. So 15th century. I mean, it's weird because it's old. I do like this though. I do like that in a kind of weird way. I do kind of like this like pathway round. But it is really old. But it doesn't look that old. I mean, I'm not quite sure. Like I said, with all the work that was done in the 1800s. I'm not quite sure how extensive it was, but I mean, I'm sure it is, you know, dating back to the 15th century, what we're looking at now. But yeah, it just doesn't look really very decorative, and I mean, that's nice. I like that. And here we do actually have some stained glass window, again behind the meshing, but you can actually see there is figures and stuff. I don't know if they are figures or just like flowers. I think they're just flowers. Can't see figures. I think they're more like kind of on either side of it. Yeah, flowers. Well, I do quite like that though, which is a little bit more interesting. So a little bit better, but it's still not the stone faces though. I miss the stone faces. So yeah. Well, we'll walk away around again and then we'll have a look at some of the headstones. But I think, like I said before, this church, it's quite plain really for like all the ones I've seen. You know, I mean, I've done a lot of church walkabouts. I've visited a lot of churches. This church is just quite a plain one, really. And here we are back where I was before, which is I'm assuming is the back of the church. We've got the window here, which is again wire meshing, but there doesn't seem to be much. I think, I'm not sure, we can just about see. I think there is actually some kind of stained glass window behind this. So it's got the meshing and it's got this kind of perspex cover as well. But obviously the perspex has deteriorated in time and it's not clear anymore. And that's it. We're just kind of back around to where I was before. So, but yeah, here no gargoyles. So it's just, you haven't got any of those. Yeah, it's just literally just the guttering, the 1800s guttering that you normally get used to seeing. It's kind of the copper. I don't know if that's copper. Is that copper or lead? I don't know. Whatever it is. You've got a small window there, look. Again, covered over, so you can't really see You can just about see a gap where there's a snail. Can you see that snail? You can just about see that there is actually stained glass window, but you just can't see it because of the discoloured perspex. We've got another door here, look. Oh, entrance, south door. That's almost like, you know, when you go to like some really rubbish kind of like amusement park or something, and they've got this really bad writing on it. That kind of reminds me of that. But so yeah, not particularly decorative church, this one. Oh well, never mind. It's still interesting to see. I mean, like I said, you know, I know it's kind of 15th century. I know there was a Norman church here before this one. I'm assuming a lot smaller, because this is a big church covering a lot of ground. Oh, we've got a cracked headstone on the floor here. I don't know how old that is. Let's have a look. Has it got an age on it? Oh, 1834. So I'm curious to see if there is going to be any headstones here that go back to the 1700s. I'm assuming that probably they're all going to be 1800s. I mean, there might be, maybe. Yeah, there's one. What's this? What's that one say? Sorry. Oh no, that's 1818. I was just looking at that one. It looked really old, but yeah, 1818 on that one. So I might not actually find any 1700s headstones here, but we'll have a look. We've got lots of kind of new ones, you know, for, I'm assuming for cremations and that. What's that one? I think 18, is that 18? 1818. I was just looking at that one there. And then we're back round to where it was with that locked gate. So yeah, I'm assuming this is the way in. This is kind of like the main way into the church for the congregation, but it's not open until later. I think at 5 o'clock it opens, and that's hours away. And probably won't like me wandering in their video. And anyway, I'll have to do a coffee morning. Just a little sign there. Obviously not at the moment, and it's not a coffee morning either because they're all locked up. I can just see actually. It looks like the Heritage lottery fund. So clearly they've had some stuff done, and it's part of the lottery as well, lottery fund. But yeah, there you go. So we'll have a little wander around the graves, and we'll see if there's any that are older than the 1800s. But it seems to be primarily, sorry, my thumb's in the way. Primarily, we're looking at the 1800s, be it early or mid, and obviously onwards, 1900s and that, of course. So yeah, I see headstones and I think, oh, that looks like a really old one. And then when I actually get a bit closer and I check it out, it's got 1832 I think on that one. So yeah, they all seem to be like that. Yeah. Well, I think I haven't done many church walkabouts by the coast. I've only really done one, and that was 2 years ago when I came to Westwood Ho last time, and it was the church actually in Westwood Ho, and again that was an 18th century church. Oh no, it was 19th actually. Yeah, it was 19th century church built in the 1800s, and again, as you'd imagine, the headstones weren't very old. So I don't know whether this is a common theme. I haven't done enough church walkabouts to know whether actually most of the graves are going to be the 1800s onwards. And they don't have really old ones here, and I don't know the reason why. See, I find that quite curious. Why is it actually that you'd imagine by the coast, because from what I've read, like the pirates, right, if you go back to piracy and all that kind of stuff, like in Cornwall, that they're the ones who first kind of invented headstones, if you like, to mark the graves of those fallen. So, and then I think the church, if memory serves me right, the church took the idea. It was a bit of a money-making scheme, I think, to be honest. That, you know, you had to be buried on sacred ground, and you had to have a headstone and this, that, and all the rest of it. In a good way of making some cash, let's be honest. And they took the idea and then adopted it, and then from like the 1800s onwards, especially when you're going into more like the 17 and the 1800s, especially the 1800s, you'll see that most of them have got these headstones. So it became like a really big thing that you had to have a headstone when you're buried on sacred ground. But yeah, as far as which is quite ironic really, as far as memory serves me, it comes from the pirates, piracy. That's where the headstones originally came from, and we are by the coast, like I said, in the distance there's the ocean, so we are by the coast. So you would imagine that the headstones would be really old here. They'd all be like 1600s and that kind of stuff. No, but they're not. I just find that really, really interesting. But again, this is only my second church walkabout by the coast, and obviously I'm in Devon, so perhaps this is not a typical example of the way they are, that they could be older ones. It's just I've not come across those churches. I just know when I looked this one up, St Margaret's Church, when I looked it up in Northam, and it was 15th century, I thought, oh yeah, they're going to be some like really old ones, some 1600s and some really cool ones, but no, at the moment we're talking the 1800s, mate. Now I know if you come from countries that, like America for example, where your history only goes back so far, 300 years or whatever it is, or Australia, you're talking what, 200 years or something. I mean, obviously I'm not including the Aborigines in that. I'm talking about when we were sending convicts over and all that stuff. So the history, what we would term as history, only kind of starts from that point. I mean, obviously there were going to be like I said, the American Indians and all that kind of stuff. There's going to be history going way, 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 way back, a lot further. But for what we're used to, the West, kind of like headstones and all this kind of stuff, and the churches, you would expect them all to be, kind of like going, really far back. But a lot of them are not. I mean, I said this is 15th century. The ones in the Midlands are not uncommon to be, we're talking 12th and 13th century, or obviously 14th and 15th and all that, but you do get ones that go back to the 12th and the 13th century. So it seems to be that the further you go into the country, the older the church is. And again, I might be wrong on that. I need to do a bit more history checking on that, but I just find it quite interesting, because for me personally, before I actually came doing these church walkabouts by the coast, I was expecting them to be really old, really, really old. I think I've said that now about 500 times, so I'm boring myself now, so I'm going to stop waffling on about it. So we've established that most of the headstones are going to be 1800s onwards, and at this church anyway, that is the way it is. So we've got the obligatory foot shot of me walking now as I'm working my way back round to get a good shot in of the church itself. There we go. So, I don't know, it's a bit hard to rate this one. I like rating churches as I kind of work my way around and stuff. I mean, it's well tended. Obviously, the grass is cut down. I mean, we're in autumn now, so we're wandering towards winter, so it's probably had its final cut of the year anyway, but it's well looked after. I can see that there's nowhere with like loads of kind of foliage or weeds and stuff, so it's well looked after. I can see that. As a graveyard, it's all right, I guess. Some interesting headstones. I mean, I used to in the early days, used to focus a lot more on the headstones, but they all kind of look the same after a while. But I do like that one. A bit of a nautical theme there on that. I quite like that one. This one is 1900s, but yeah, I quite like that. And then you've got this one with a little bit more. I like the colouring. I do love this. I've said this before actually on other church walkabouts. I love it when you get this kind of like discolouring effect on the stone. I like, kind of like moss and, just decay of the stone itself. As I've said before, sometimes even with the most ugly thing, you can see real beauty. And mould and decay, as horrible as it can be quite beautiful as well, so I quite like that. And you see some of these, right, I always find these really fascinating. You see these headstones and they look really old, like really, really old. You can actually see kind of like, you know, all the stone, the way it's kind of looks really aged and really old. And they never are. They never are. Look, this one. 1930. 1930, and it's so weird. They look like really, really old, but they're not. I find that really fascinating. That when I first started doing these church walkabouts, which is quite a while ago now, and I used to see these headstones, and I thought, oh yeah, I must go and check that one out. It's going to be mega old. 1900s, mate. And it's like, oh, okay, that's not very old, is it? So I find that quite interesting. I guess with my really bad history knowledge of churches doing these walkabouts, I've learned nothing really at the end of the day. Let's be honest. I've done countless church walkabouts and I still learned nothing. One thing I have learned though is that you get to see certain types of headstones and you instantly know, or normally you instantly know what kind of age it is. This one kind of caught me out a little bit because some of the headstones with the carvings on it look quite ornate and looked older, which is what I'm used to back in the Midlands, which would be 1700s, but here they're not. So that kind of tricked me a little bit. Oh, look at that, that's unusual. Almost like a big scroll. I guess that's the idea, isn't it? Don't know if that originally was black stone, but yeah, the lettering's really worn on this one. That was not made to last, let's put it that way. Can't even read that anymore. So yeah, I think I would like to start getting back into looking more at the headstones, because I kind of steered away from that for a while. I just kind of focused on the church. So we'll start doing that again. But a lot of these headstones are, like I said, 1800s upwards, so not as interesting to me personally. But anyway, so going back, yeah. So the ground's well tended. Church it's all right. It's not particularly exciting, I've got to be honest. The tower, that massive tower, let's go around again. Unbelievably impressive that is. I can't believe how tall that tower is. It's nuts. So that's impressive, how tall the tower is. But the actual stonework, like I said, it's more kind of like slate, which is all right, but it kind of flows all the way through. It's the same all the way around. So, you know, for me personally, it's not as interesting. It's the tower. It is the tower that sells this place. That absolutely massive tower that definitely sells it. Look at it. I mean, it is the tower. That's what kind of sells it here. It's just humongous, impressive tower. For me, that's definitely what sells this church more than anything else. But yeah, so no carvings really, no gargoyles, no grotesques. A little bit of scroll work, you know, like flowers and stuff, and obviously that main entrance, that's probably the most impressive bit really, with the carvings. You can see some of the history in it then, because you can see how worn away the stonework is with time. Like I said, being by the coast as well, you would imagine to see a lot more of the stone worn away because of the salt in the air, you know, from the sea. So when I actually see this entrance and I can see how it has actually kind of deteriorated over time, then that makes sense to me, because I mean it's pretty well sheltered around here though. I mean, outside of that bit there, which is a bit more exposed, but yeah, you've got these houses all the way around, so it is pretty well sheltered around here, and there's a high wall around it as well. I think it's just the tower more than anything else which would be exposed, so I would assume that's probably had more of a battering over the years than the lower level bits. But yeah, so not much in the way of carvings. It's obviously had a lot of extensive work done in the 1800s, you know, and over here we've got a 1900s extension put on as well. So it's all right. I mean, the windows, the stained glass windows, for what I could see, they're all covered over, either in meshing. Well, look, they're all covered in meshing, but a lot of them have got perspex on it, which is discoloured, so you can't even see through that as well. So, whoa, a rating. Whoa, I've got to give this one a rating. For me personally, it was all right. It's the tower that kind of sold it. I do like the graveyard from the point of view that it's quite interesting. It's a bit creepy as well, because it's like really jammed in here, all the headstones. But there's no real old headstones that I could see while I was walking around. So I think I'm gonna, oh my god, I haven't done a review. My gut feeling is 6.5 out of 10, but that seems really harsh. That seems right mega harsh, really, to be honest. But it's not really that impressive. Like I said, the stonework's just pretty much the same all the way around, and it's not ornate. So do I really want to say 6.5? That seems really harsh. Oh my god. Actually, I don't know. I'm going to stick with my gut feeling. I think I am going to say 6.5 out of 10. I think I'm going to have to do that. I think it's because it's difficult, because I've done so many church walkabouts where I've seen really old headstones. I've seen beautiful ornate carvings in the stonework around the windows and everything else. But here, it's just more boring. Look at it, it even looked newer, you know, with the stone, and it's just got this annoying meshing over all of it, so I can't really see. I'm going 6.5. I'm going to be controversial. St Margaret's Church in Northam, Bideford, Devon. Second church walkabout that I've done down in Devon, and the other church was a lot newer, the one that was in Westwood Ho, but that had more ornate carvings and was more interesting than this one. So yeah, outside of this lovely entrance, even with the bins, and the fact that actually this does look old, it does show some age to it when you actually look around it. It's the only real, for me, the only really interesting thing outside of that absolutely gigantic tower. Look at that, I'm breaking my back just to bend and show you that. But yeah, carvings, uninspiring, mate. Sorry, I'm not overly impressed with that compared to what I've seen in the past. I'm getting picky now. It's like, you know, it's like being a chef. It's that, you know, you get used to get used to cooking, you get used to really fine meals, fine dining, all that kind of stuff, and then, you know, you go to Burger King or something, or McDonald's, and it's not as impressive, so you would give it a lower rating. You know, the food would be all right, but you give it a lower rating because you know you've had better. And with St Margaret's Church in Northam, I've had better. So yeah, 6.5 out of 10. Oh dear.